All right, so I had a question. How could I build a Eurovision style scoreboard? And someone sent me a link. I'm in America. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I've never heard of Eurovision. It looks like some sort of singing competition. And all these countries call in and they, I don't know, they give points to other countries or something. And I think the issue was...
Yes, sir. We won.
Let's see what they get to the Ukraine.
Not every country gets 1 point at a time. They get 8 points at a time, or they get 2 points at a time. And if you do your scoreboard the way I did my scoreboard, the way I showed you last time, every time you click it, it only goes up 1 point. And if you're giving this country 8 points, and that country 10 points, and that country 12 points, I guess that could be a lot of clicking. And if you'd rather have it go up in increments, I don't know, let's try to do that. So, let's see here, let's copy this. And I took the, this is actually 2 shapes here, but I took the outlines off so that it kind of looks like just 1 shape. And I wanted to select my label here and make sure that there's no macros on it. Yeah, there shouldn't be any macros on there. And this could be France. Whatever. All right, so there's some countries. Now, because each one of these squares has the little scoreboard macro on it, when we run, all of these should go up by 1 when they're clicked. And the reason that they go up by 1 is because if we go into Visual Basic, the reason they're going up by 1 is because we told it. When we click on this button, we want the score to change to score plus 1. But we could have this go up by an increment. And then what we're going to do for that, let's see. We're going to create what's called a global variable, which means if you're interested in this kind of thing, you're going to look up something called scope. Variables have scope. Sometimes variables are only used inside of the function where they're created. And they can't be, any function outside of this function is not going to recognize the name of that variable. Sometimes that's good. But for this, we're going to have another function, call it changeIncrement, of which are parentheses. And in changeIncrement, we're gonna set the increment variable to something in a little bit. But before we set it, we have to declare it. And we're going to use dim increment. But you notice it's at the top and before we start writing our subroutines. That's what makes it a global variable. And if you put your, if you declare your variable at the top outside of all the subroutines, then any subroutine or function that you write will be able to recognize that variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some little shapes down here. Actually, I'm just going to create one shape for now. And I'm going to have a bunch of shapes down here, and one's going to say 1, one's going to say 2, one's going to say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, as many as you want. And I'm going to set increment to, so whatever I click on, I'm going to take the text from that thing that I click on, and it might be a string. So if it is a string, I want to convert it to an integer using the integer. Is that a function? Is that a method? I'm not sure. But that's how you do it. CInt. If this is a string, it'll turn it into an integer or a number. And so if you click on 1, that string is going to get converted to a number, and it's going to get saved in increment. If it's a 2, then that number is going to get saved in increment. And so now, up here, the new score is going to be score plus whatever increment is. So let's go to our little square here, and let's assign the macro change increment. Okay, and then let's just copy and paste. You know, you can hold down Control and just keep clicking and dragging if you want to keep copying and pasting, right? And remember, it's going to change increment to whatever the text is inside this shape when we click on it. And you know what, just for kicks, let's type in -1. I honestly don't know if that'll work or not. We'll see. Alright, now when I run this, be careful, because the thing about this is when you run the presentation, there's no increment set until you click one of these shapes. So I don't even know what would happen if I clicked one of these. There's no increment set. So if I click it, nothing's going to happen. But if I click 1, then these will go up by 1 when I click them. If I click 10, then this should go up to 70. If I click 2, should go up by 2, etc. Now, will -1 work? Will it go down? Yeah, it will go down. And there you go. That's how you could create a Eurovision style scoreboard and make it a little bit easier on yourself. You don't have to click as much. Hope that helps.